My name is William Massey. It's my wife, Carolyn Massey. And we have a ministry that God has given to us called Touch of Life. This came about, and thanks to our firstborn son, who God allowed him to be born into this world with a serious deficiency toward any animal protein. He would get extremely sick. So we were searching. Lord, where and what? You know, I think it was Samson's mom and dad said, Lord, well, how are we going to raise the child? So we were saying, well, Lord, how? And God would send answers. And the Lord actually sent individuals there. I mean, it was all on time, his time. And so we had a time with our firstborn because we were trying to go and use the different formulas of milk. He wound up back in the emergency room, sick. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's probably better. Okay, and but he would wind up back in the emergency room time and time, and the Lord would show us what we needed to do. But my wife has some testimonies. Louder than the thunder outside, God is real. Amen. He has actually given us experiences. And I don't say he wants to shut us down, he wants to shut our mouths.
Amen.
He don't want anybody to know that God does have some resolve.
Amen.
And we'll say, well, he can reverse it. No, God can cure it.
Yes.
God can get rid of it.
Amen.
I've worked in the healthcare industry from 1989 on up to now. Started out working in rehab as a rehab tech, and then also worked in surgery. Now I'm a first assist, also a surgical technologist. Had a chance to see a lot of surgeries, a lot of things happen from the emergency room to the OR, and some of the things some of the cases could have been prevented. I was in Hawaii one year, and the natives there, they would come. Only time you would see them in the actual hospital was when there was an amputation. They would die, a lot of diabetes there on the island. And they would wait until the last minute in their health to actually come. They won't use preventative. They wait and they come see the doctor. And when they come to the doctor, he already has their case ready for them. So I've seen a lot of amputations, a lot of limbs, whether it was the foot below the knee or either above the knee. Waiting on my... You can kind of guess what I'm going to talk about, or we're going to discuss. If you look to the left over here on the table, you see a lot of black stuff and activated charcoal. I kind of feel like I'm preaching to the choir, though.
I'll tell it.
Because I know everybody's probably had some experience with charcoal, with activated charcoal, and in medical field, science is going to call it activated carbon. This stuff right here actually came about during World War I. As far as being known on a world view or world stage. But the sailors, they were off in the South Pacific, and they would get sick, and they would see how these guys were using the coconut. They would take the husk or the outer part or core of the coconut and burn it. Keep it on a heavy, hard steel metal so that it would char or get extremely black. They would take out the little chunks and pulverize it, beat it, until it gets to what you see on the screen right there. Powder, a powder form. The activated charcoal was used for sicknesses like smallpox. So activated charcoal was used way back during I think early 12th, 13th century for even anthrax. Poisoning. And they came around to figure out where really did this come from. There are some who think that in the Bible that the acacia wood that Moses used also was when they burned it, when they left from that area and they burned residue, they would use the ash. And the ash, they would put it on sores, would put it on any type of swellings, and this stuff would not absorb, but adsorb away the poison and the toxin. Everybody know the difference between adsorb and absorb? What is absorb?
Take in.
Taking in, okay. What is adsorb? A lot of times we hear, something is absorb, but charcoal is not famous for absorbing, it's famous for adsorbing.
So take it out.
So what it does, okay, Elder Abraham kind of gave a practical lesson about the principle of adsorb when he talked about Christ taking the sins on to himself. What is absorbing? He became sin. He became the very thing that was destroying us. Isaiah 53. It says that, by his what? Stripes we are healed. And if I could use as an object lesson, this stuff right here gets into your system and it clings to all poisons that's within your bloodstream or within the gut, within the intestine. It clings to it because when you look at this under a microscope, it's very porous. And when you look at burnt wood is porous. So what happens is that these pores are called positive charged ions within the pores. Sorry, negative. And what they do is that once they go into the bloodstream, they hunt for and they attract the poisons that's within the system. So using this, just by drinking this, can everybody see this picture right here? Is it too small?
Yeah.
I want to look at this. It says, it's all over media. Activated charcoal has been part of my natural medicine cabinet for years, but now it's showing up in what?
Beauty magazines.
Soaps. What else?
Mass.
Toothpaste. And if you notice, you see me using some gloves over here. They were black nitrate gloves. Guess what's in the lining of those gloves? Charcoal. Inside of the water filters that you see on the market today, they use the charcoal, the activated carbon, because it's going to pull and extract away from the water all those leads that are poison and all those aluminum byproducts that get into your bloodstream and actually set up anything from diabetes to kidney damage, liver, even cancer. But using the activated charcoal, and you'll see it all over the place. And I was going through Walmart, and I seen I think in the H&B in the health and beauty aisle, where they actually have a foot soak. You can use this stuff, you soak your feet in this activated charcoal. And within that time frame, I think you want to soak it for like 10 minutes. If you have athlete's foot or any type of fungus, it eats it up. It actually attracts itself to it and eats the fungus. So you have shoe soles for sports shoes, work boots, and these insoles or soles that go inside those boots or shoes are lined with activated charcoal. Activated charcoal. So that stuff it's powerful. I want to share this also with you. Some of the benefits and the use of it. Poison and toxin remedy in the hospital, in the emergency room. If someone comes in and they just say, for instance, this person had more of their share of their medication and they OD'd. Well, yeah, they're going to run an IV when they get you in the ambulance. Yeah, they try to stabilize you. But once you get there into the emergency room, their physician knows automatically that he's going to get a nasal, or what they call a nasal gastric tube, into your system, your stomach. They're going to push a mixture of activated charcoal into you to begin to absorb, and pull whatever it was, whatever that medication was that you put in. So if you are actually taking medication, this is like a 5-minute or 3-second break here, commercial. If you're taking medication, it's always good if you're going to use this stuff, use it on the other end, on the opposite side. Don't use it before you take the medication. You know, wait, if you take this stuff, wait at least 2 hours or even an hour after your medication. Because it takes about 45 minutes sometime before some medication even get into the bloodstream. So wait at least 2 hours before you even begin to take this stuff. We're going to talk about how much we can use or how much to use here shortly. I want to share one more screen with you. Yeah, that's it. We talked about the mask, but clean air. One thing I want to share with you is that, in military, I'm a vet, Army vet, that we had what was called the NBCW uniforms. I mean military, I mean Army, folk we got out here. Okay, the manual. These things we had to wear in the heat of the day, Fort Hood, Texas, when 100 degrees felt like 150 degrees. We had to put this out. I was trying to find an actual picture of it, but it's a nuclear biological warfare suit, very heavy. The lining of the suit is lined with activated charcoal. The mask, or the chemical warfare mask, biological warfare mask that we wear, the filters are lined with activated charcoal. So it's not just something that you hear people talk about, well, it's good for something. No, this stuff is universal. They use it in any war zone, any active combat area, you're going to find activated charcoal. You're going to find it. Sometimes you can't get to the hospital in time. Guess what? If there's a cut, if there's a bruise, we don't know what type of environment that was. You scrape your leg up against a metal or something, iron, and it can set up a bad infection. They're going to pour activated charcoal powder into that spot, into it. So it's universal. So at home, not one home should be absent of this stuff right here.
Amen.
If you have babies, have children, you need this. Children are always some kind of way finding stuff in the house that resemble food or some drink. And they may get tempted, they could say, I'm going to taste that. And there's an 800 number everybody calls. Yeah, okay. I called that 800 number once, and guess what they asked me? Do you have any charcoal? That's the last thing on their list. Do you have any activated charcoal? So it's even on, the 911 emergency calls. It's universal. I just want to share that a little bit with you. To the left over here, this is my beautiful wife. This is my ride or die. We've been through some storms, still going through them from time to time. And she's going to talk about how to mix this stuff, and might even share a few goodies with you.
Amen.
Well, actually, he kind of stepped a little bit on what I was going to tell you. I was going to give a little testimony about how we learned about charcoal. We initially learned about charcoal from, like he was saying, kids put stuff in their mouth. We had a family staying with us that was medical missionaries, and they were sharing things, tips and stuff, because we were new, Seventh-day Adventist Christians, didn't know about all of this stuff. And I thought the first thing she said, charcoal, I'm like, I ran and got some charcoal that you put on the grill. And she was like, no, that's not it, it's activated charcoal. Still was over my head. So she was telling us about charcoal and stuff like that, and some other things, other like lemons and just things that you have in your house that you can use that will help you if your child has a cut or anything happens, to your children. Some little things that we can do, little tips. She talked about poultices and just different things that I never knew about ever existed, because when anything happened to my children, first thing I did, ran to the doctor or the hospital or something like that with my children. And still go to the hospital, still go to the doctors. God made them too. But my Joshua, I have 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. And my oldest son has passed away. The one that he was talking about that was born with he couldn't eat meat, and we were not vegetarians. We didn't know anything about vegetarianism until we had our son. And I had a girlfriend that was a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and I knew her when I was young, and we would always switch food when we got to school, and clothes as well, because I wanted her life and she wanted mine. So we kind of switched when we would get to school, and that's the only thing I knew about Seventh-day Adventists. And so my son was born, and when he was born, after he got off of milk and started eating food, and the baby food in the little jars and stuff, of course, it smelled so good. It was bacon and carrots and something. It was like a little small baby food thing. I loved the smell of it, he loved the taste of it. So I gave it to him. He had a temp that was so high, you couldn't stand to touch the child immediately. So I immediately took him to the doctor, and they gave him some things and stuff to take the fever down. And I'm like, didn't know what it was, so of course I gave it to him again. He ran the fever again. I was young, didn't know. I was killing my child and did not know. And so my girlfriend that was the Adventist that had left the church at this time, she was staying with me, and she told me, she said, honey, your child is a vegetarian. I said, what's that? She said, remember when I was giving you my lunch and I was taking yours? That's a vegetarian. She said, your child can't handle the meat. So that's how I found out about vegetarianism. And so I went on to say this. So we got, the other family came over to our house. We were Adventists by this time, but we still didn't know anything. We were young, didn't know. And so our kids were all outside running and playing in the backyard. And Joshua was about 2 or 3 years old. He got an old rusty can. Who knows how long that can was out there and what was in it. I don't want to think about it. But he drank it. And immediately he started running the fever, because what it did was whatever was in that can went straight to his liver. And he was my healthiest child, even in birth, period. He immediately lost weight before my eyes. His eyes started sinking into the back of his head. He started throwing up and then diarrhea. He couldn't hold anything down, but of course, he was a healthy child. He would run around and playing. Everything we tried to put in, it come up, it came out. So I took him to the doctor, took him to his pediatrician. And I had a big, huge grocery bag full of Gatorade, Pediasure, Pedialyte, anything that I could think of to put back into my child so he could hold something down. So I went to the doctor with this big grocery bag of things. And as I'm giving it to him, he's throwing up. I'm still giving it to him. He's throwing it up. He's went through diapers and everything. And the doctor said, well, you're doing the best thing for him. All thing we'll do is put him in the hospital and give him IVs, and he might live. And then again, most likely he might die. Of course, I'm panicking. I'm a young mother. Didn't want to hear that. I'm screaming, crying, hollering and stuff. And this child laughing and grinning at me, throwing up and running around playing. And he's not knowing what's going on with him. And I'm like, this child is oblivious of what's happening to my child. So I went back to the house. This family, by the way, was still staying with me. And I guess she wasn't thinking at the time, but finally she said, hey, I know what to give the child. Charcoal. And I said, that black stuff you were talking about, telling me about? She said, yeah, baby, give it to him. So I gave it to him. He threw it up. It looked like The Exorcist. It was all black stuff all over my house. I said, oh my goodness, what do? I said, this is not helping. Of course, I'm panicking. This is not helping. My child's gonna die. So I'm just going off and everything, and what some mothers do, me especially, very panicky about my kids. I'm very passionate about children, and especially mine. So she gave it to him again, up it came again. He's still running around playing, all the kids like, ew, because they were trying to eat, and of course he baptized their food with black charcoal. And so he cleaned it up and gave it back to him again, he threw it up again. And so we went through that process, and it took him about maybe 2 hours before we started seeing less throwing up, less poopy, and the poopy had substance to it finally. It started looking, it wasn't runny, it was starting having things. And she said, okay, it's working. And I'm like, okay, she said, so he kept throwing it up until he didn't throw it up anymore. And after his body got all of that, it was pulling all of the poisons and all of the stuff that was in that can that he drank that we didn't know what it was pulling it out of his system. And we actually saw it, step by step, drawing and pulling. He ran fevers, and then he, all the way to the point where we went through a process, of going through, and we still kept fluids in him as well. You also have to, when you do charcoal, the key point some people don't understand is when you do charcoal, you have to drink plenty of water. Because if you don't drink water, it constipates you, dehydrates you, and all of the above, because it's pulling toxins and poisons from every end of the body. If your child has worms, it will pull all that out. We have had poultices put on the skin and saw people I dealt with a drug addict, and we have put poultices on the skin, and actually literally when we pulled the poultices off, the odor was so horrific because that was the drugs. And you literally could see the drugs on the skin of the person. You don't want to touch that stuff. You want to handle any type of time when you're dealing with charcoal and you're dealing with once you're cleaning that area after the person has expelled all of the stuff that the charcoal is pulling out, you want to use your gloves because you don't want that stuff going into your system, into you. It will literally pull everything. It draws and it pulls and it saved my son's life. I literally was seeing my son die before my eyes. I mean, I went from a healthy child. I wish I had took pictures, but I didn't. His eyes were sunk back in his head. He lost weight before my eyes, and I couldn't believe it. And it was just horrific to look at for a mother or for anybody to see a child go through that. But the child was happy, running around playing. That's what I didn't understand. But this child was still not knowing he was dying. But he was running around playing and having fun, but I'm freaking out because I know what was going on. So, and then my husband, he got a spider bite. And his whole leg just turned completely black. And he had the biggest hole from the spider bite.
Brown recluse.
It was the brown recluse. We didn't see it. We didn't know that that's what it was, but until after it started rotting his leg. So immediately I started I made a flaxseed, but I didn't use water with this particular poultice. I used olive oil with mine and made it thick, and I put it on a gauze, and I put it on my husband's leg, and I wrapped it with wax, paper, not wax, but plastic wrap and tape, and I put it on his leg, and it took about 3 weeks, and he does not have a spot or anything on his leg at all to show where the wound was even there. And it was a hole, and it was rotten. It was actually rotting the skin. So then I also dealt with a patient that was, because I worked with this lady that was teaching me about poultices and things like that. So I worked with a lady that had cancer. They sent her to this lady to die. Because they gave her so much chemo and all this other stuff. The lady had lymph node cancer under her arm, and if you raised the arm up, it looked like a black cast iron skillet. And you couldn't see it, and it looked like the charcoal that we were putting on her. We packed her wound, because it was just a hole there. It was where it should be flesh there. It was just a black hole there. The lady used to be a heavy-set lady, nice-sized lady. She probably weighed 98 pounds wet. This is how the cancer had ate away at her body, and they had just gave her up, her son, because it was out in the country, nice, pleasant spot. They sent her there, not for thinking that she was going to live, but I actually worked with this lady. She taught me how to do it, and I seen it for myself. We gave her treatments and things, juices and different things, and I saw this woman. We rolled her in on a stretcher, and she walked out of there. and she gained weight. Her hair started growing back. She's a beautiful woman again. Son couldn't believe it when he came to pick her up. I'm praying that she's alive today. We dealt with a drug addict lady that I was telling you about. Same thing. She was going through all different types of voices and demons, because those drugs, children, drugs are demons that you are administering into your body by the thousands or more. And they don't ask for permission. They come in and they take charge of your body. So this young lady, she had taken so many drugs, and the demons were speaking out of her. And she was trying to run away and all this stuff, but we used charcoal and we used a lot of other different things to get this woman back in her natural mind. And as we started seeing the drugs being pulled out of her body, she, of course, had some withdrawals and things, but she actually went from looking like the demoniacs to a beautiful young woman. She was a Christian lady in the beginning, but she went back to being a Christian lady. And I'm wanting to pray that she didn't look back at those drugs again. This little thing right here is a stick that I got from Dollar Tree. It has a wick in it, and it's for your sinuses. But what I use it for, I open the bottom of it up and I put peppermint oil on the wick, and I use it so when we're out, if somebody feels faint, if you feel faint, I'll pass it around. You kind of smell it, because you can smell it through the thing. But this is something that I use. It's quick if you have sinus problems.
Just made that up this morning.
Just made it up fresh. It's really strong. Be careful. Don't wipe your eyes after you touch it, because there's probably some on the bottle and you'll be burning. So it's oil. It's peppermint oil. What you did, I just put it in there, and it will open you up. Like if you feel faint or nauseous or something like that and you're out, that's something quick. That little stick costs $1 at Dollar Tree. And then, you just buy your bottle of peppermint oil and stick it in the wick and then put it back in. You can use that, take that, instead of taking the whole big bottle of peppermint oil and everybody like, oh, what's going on? We smell peppermint oil everywhere. That's kind of a concealment thing that you can use if you are sitting in church or something, because the devil is busy. He tries to make us sick when we come to church.
Oh, yes.
Like this brother was saying about, our health and our food and things that we eat. The devil will attach to himself to that stuff, and he'll cause you to get sick in the moment when you need to hear God's word. So that little peppermint stick, I use it to help me, like if I get nauseous or anything. It helps with sinus problems. If you have real bad sinuses, because these trees and stuff that we have in Tennessee and Alabama, we need something like that. So my daughter brought it from school. She went to school at Harper Hill Academy. And I don't know if you guys all know, it's a lady there, Sister, the black lady that works there. She's, I can't think of her name. But she does those sticks, and she helped my daughter. My daughter looked like she was about to die from the sinus affection. So those help there. This is a lot of little tips that you can give, that you can use when you're out and people are sick, and it will help you really quick. So to be quick, my husband is going to mix up this combination of, so you can, and I have some samples for you guys to take home with you as well. This is flaxseed. This right here is already ready for you. You can buy it in the store already ground up, or you can buy the seeds and grind them yourself, the whole seed. But these right here are already pre-done for you. If you can get it done already, why not? And they cost the same price. Whether you get them already grind or whether you don't, it's the same cost. There's no difference in the cost. But you also can use that flaxseed for eggs. There's a lot of things you can use that flaxseed for, more than just what we're doing here. This right here, this flaxseed, it swells and it's like a gel and jelly, and it sticks to it for people that don't know. And what he's doing now, he's going to, how much is that?
This is 1 cup.
No.
1 spoon.
That's
1 tablespoon.
That's 1 tablespoon of flaxseed, and he's going to put it into the big bowl. And you use the same portion of charcoal that you use of flaxseed, per flaxseed. He's also going to use a tablespoon of charcoal, activated charcoal. The thing, you can order these online. You can even get that in Walmart now. They have both of these. I got these from Walmart. they have this stuff in Walmart now because they are learning that people need these things, for their body and for their health, because a lot of people are healthy or more healthier now. So where before we had to go to health food stores, we had to order stuff, now you can go straight to Walmart and get a lot of things that we need. So praise the Lord for that. So he's mixing it together. You also can take that and put it in that combination that he's mixing. You can take it and you can warm it on the stove. And as you're warming it, continue to mix it, and it'll get thick. It'll get real thick. But you can, the thicker you want it, you can, like I said, you can put it on a larger area. Like if you get a big area that you need to, and you want it to stay on overnight, you wrap that. And I'm gonna do a little demonstration. Do anybody have a wound or anything that they need something for? Oh, you can also use this for if you have a toothache. It will pull out the abscess and all that stuff in your gums that will help your mouth. You can use it for toothache. Any kind of bacteria, kind of infections that you have that's in there. Because I had a excruciating tooth. I had a hole there. You pack it and you put a cotton ball. Somebody please get me a cotton ball off the table. You take a cotton ball and you put it on the cotton ball and you put it dead on the spot. Pack it down in there as tight as you can and just hold it there and just leave it there overnight. Or you can just do the day when you're walking around. Make sure you get your towel or something. It's a little messy. But it works. It stops pain. Put some cayenne pepper in it. Add cayenne pepper into that.
You can't get the flaxseed. Just the charcoal.
Just the charcoal and cayenne.
90,000 unit heat, cayenne pepper.
Yeah,
90,000.
and water or, something to mix it, because I was hurting so bad. I'll tell y'all something to make y'all laugh. I will tell you, I was hurting so bad, I think I was delirious. I kind of like poured the charcoal and cayenne in my mouth dry.
Oh.
Don't do that.
Oh.
Don't do that. You will choke to death. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So I like to die on that one, but anyways, but don't do that. Put some water in it, put something, and mix it in and put it into the area. It'll immediately stop that pain. I mean immediately. If anybody have ever had an exposed nerve, they know what I'm talking about. That's all y'all say. Put that in there to stop it like that. Peppermint oil kind of stops it too. And then they have, what is that one that you brought, the little bottle? Clove. The clove oil, that'll stop some pain, naturally. Because some people don't want to put all these drug medications in their body, but when you're in pain, you'll grab whatever. It's whatever. But if you do grab the whatever, make sure you have some charcoal to get that out of your system. Because, like I said, drug medications, we might have to use some, because we never know how much pain we might be in or whatever the situation might be. But always remember, these are some things that you can take where that doesn't have to lay in your body. Because I had some pills that they had given me, because I don't take drug medications, and they had given me some pain for pain. They gave me some, what was it, morphine, or was it Demerol? What was that? Demerol or something. And I put the stuff in some pills. I had put it in a cup, and because I was gonna pour it down the sink, and I forgot that it was there, and I went back and I was like, what is this? It looked like some, no, it kind of looked like what you put cement. It looked like cement, because the water was sitting on top, the medicine was at the bottom, it had already dissolved, but when I was trying to get it out of the cup, it was that hard. So imagine what that's doing to your body. What that's doing to your system. And this was just one type of a pill. Some people take 5 and 6 different types of pills. And if you don't have something, and that's why people say, oh, I can't go, that's why you can't go.
Yeah.
That's not moving through your body. That's not gonna go through your body. Because I'm serious, I'm gonna have to do a demonstration one day and prove it to y'all guys, because I don't think y'all believe me. But anyway, it was that hard in that cup, and I was like, what? My husband said, what is it? I said, I found, that was those pills that I was gonna pour down the sink. It was like cement. I said, proven fact, no taking, no pills no more. But if I do this, and actually do it, like he said, no later than 2 to 3 hours after you do it, and get a regular system to do it, because if you don't, it's gonna take, you'll have to do a colonic. Anybody know what a colonic is?
Yeah.
Do everybody know what colonic is? I don't want to take advantage that everybody knows, but you might have to take a colonic to get that stuff out your body, because that's some hard stuff. And think about over the years what you are doing to your body if you put these drug medications in your system on a regular basis. Blood pressure medicines. A lot of people have blood pressure problems. I have blood pressure problems. I take a mixture of cayenne, honey, lemon, and turmeric for my blood pressure. But I also have a blood pressure pill that I will take if it's to the point where I can't get it down with the natural remedies. But I also go back and take my charcoal to get it out of my system, because I don't want it laying around doing damage, because those blood pressure pills will do some damage. They're good for you if it's immediately, you got to get that down because you don't want to die. Don't have a stroke, don't die. Take you something. But remember, take care of your body. And he's mixing it now. Is he ready? Okay, you ready for your demonstration?
I need a.
We need somebody.
volunteer.
We need a volunteer. Anybody want to volunteer? Come on up. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna really quickly do a demonstration so I can sit down so you can come on up. but yeah, how to apply this. And there's some samples up here after he gets through doing this demonstration. If anybody wants a sample, y'all are more welcome to have it. The sample is charcoal and flaxseed already mixed up. It's just a little something like if you have a spot that you might use, you can take it and use it for that. All you have to do is add your water to it. But you want to add your water slowly because you want it to be like a paste. So kind of like just play with it a little bit and just add small amounts of water until you get the consistency that you want. His water he used about how much water did you
For this right here, all you need is
About a fourth?
technically 1/4 a cup with this particular mixture.
Yeah. But charcoal has saved our family. It has been a blessing to my family because
If you have any left over, you can put it in a sandwich bag.
yeah, you want to put it in like a freezer bag and freeze it, and then you can just reconstitute it with water.
With the flaxseed, it's just going to gel, so it's not going to get solid, but it will gel.
But you can just add water to it to reconstitute it and use it until as you go. You don't have to throw it away. But as long as it doesn't touch anything that's absorbing something poisonous or something, in your fridge or something, then you might not want to use it. But if you can put it somewhere where it's concealed, like put it in a Ziploc bag and then put it into a bowl and put it in the refrigerator so nothing will get to it, you can use it again.
I'm going to show you real quick. On this spoon, and the more I stir it, the thicker it gets, almost like a gel. And that's because of the consistency of the
He's not going to pass it around because it'll get on your clothes and you're not going to get that out of your clothes.
And the floor either.
And the floor. By the way, that charcoal will die whatever it touches, just in case nobody has
It's
it.
hard to get out of clothes.
It's hard to get out of countertops, clothes, rugs, whatever. Mean Green gets it out. I found that the hard way because I wasted a whole container of charcoal on a cabinet like that and countertop, and I got as much of it up as I can, but until we got ready to move, I said, these people gonna charge me for this stuff. I don't want to charge. And the Lord said, Mean Green. So Mean Green gets it up.
That's right here. And this
Yeah,
this
it gets it up.
demonstration, we're going to say this was a bug bite. Could have been a mosquito sting, mosquito bite sting. But we're going to use one little area of her arm, right here.
Don't let it get on her clothes, please. Do you want me to do that? You want me to do that?
We're going to say in this demo,
A little spot.
that she's got a bug bite right here. Okay. I mean, this is kind of like overkill. This is a lot of gauze.
You want to use that much because it's going to ooze.
This is actually
You know.
2x2.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I did, I just opened it up till it was thin, and then I folded it again like this, almost like in two. But you want to take this right here. You don't want to use a metal spoon with charcoal because when you use a aluminum or even cast iron or steel with this stuff right here, it's gonna
Absorb.
lose its activation.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
gonna
gonna
absorb.
try to absorb from the spoon. So it weakens it. So you wanna use a wooden spoon, or I've got a plastic one.
The better one to use is a wooden
Probably a
spoon.
wooden spoon.
If you can get a little wooden spoon, that'll be real good, if you can find one of them. But if you don't, the plastic one will work. And when all else fails, dip it up in there. And just, be careful and just use a lot of paper towel. Try to be as, and for children, if they have an area, that's the reason why I would do it like this. And then we're gonna use some tape.
Now, some people will put gauze down on the skin, then put the activated charcoal poultice, and then another gauze on top. But for a bug bite, which I've experienced,
You wanna
go
put it
directly
directly
to the
on it.
skin, it acts.
You want to put it
it's not
directly on the
plastic.
skin, and then what you do is, he's gonna wrap that with some tape, so it wouldn't move around. And then what I do is, I take the clear plastic wrap that you buy at the store, and just wrap it around the area, and maybe, tape it or something like that to keep the children from digging and pulling it, because it's gonna eat. First thing, what you're gonna feel is you're gonna feel like a warm sensation, a cool and warm sensation, if that makes sense. And then you're gonna feel like a little tingling, like almost like bugs are crawling around on you a little bit. And then you're gonna feel like itching. It's gonna itch. And the kids, they're gonna wanna scratch it. Children are gonna wanna scratch it, but what I tell them to do is kinda like just rub it like this. Because what it's doing is actually, you're feeling, and even when you put it in your mouth, when you have that spot that I was telling you, you're gonna actually feel, you're not gonna feel what I was telling you, but you're gonna feel something like it's drawing. And it's gonna feel so good.
Okay,
It's gonna feel so good, because it's gonna actually pull all of that pain and all of that mess and gook out of that tooth area. And then you just rinse your mouth with, rinse Listerine or something like that, something lemon water is even better, because that's gonna even get in there and heal it up with that fresh lemon. Make some fresh lemon water, and put it in there and just rinse it around in there real good. That's even better than Listerine. And because that's gonna give you your vitamin C that you're gonna need. It's gonna go to that area and it's gonna heal that area as well.
and the alkaline content kills the bacteria.
Yes, right. So,
From this demonstration, even though I've got the tape on here, what you want to do is take your ink pen or a marker somewhere, and you want to 24 hours.
so you write the time on
Put
there.
down what time that you started this poultice. Then take you some clear saran wraps, clear plastic wrap.
And wrap it.
Go over it.
Yeah.
Tape it one more time for extra covering, especially if it's nighttime. You don't want this.
All on your bed, on your sheets, you
Bed.
don't want it. It's not coming out.
Yes.
It's not coming, now that won't come out with mean green. It's not coming out your clothes. It's not coming out.
This is how it's going to look.
Unless somebody know a tip that I don't know. I hadn't found one yet about how to get out the clothes, but it ain't coming out your clothes. It's ruined. So if you put it on there, put some old sheets that you don't mind messing up or whatever. Don't put nothing nice, because it can get messy with children. And sometimes even with adults, it depends on the wound, and it depends on how much information that it pulls, because it's gonna pull. Overnight, you're gonna have, each time you use it, it's gonna pull until it absorbs. And like I said, with my husband's leg, he had it was just totally black. He was like, man, my skin gonna just be black right there. And as we kept using it, the wound was closed up, but the black spot was still there. And I told him, I said, you know what, let's try this. Let's keep using it and see if it's gonna clear up that spot. It literally, he has no spot there. You can't tell where he got bit at. It's like new skin again. It's just like, if you have like blemishes on your face, that's the reason why people are using these masks and stuff now, because it literally takes, like men, they have allergic to the razors. It literally takes the discolorings and stuff from, like, if you have pimples, like acne and stuff, people have adult acne and child acne. It will take all those colors and those spots off of your face, and your skin will be like new skin again. Is that it?
All right. Thank you guys for your.
I can talk for everybody.
Let me use your brain. And thank you, Genesis, for letting me use your arm. I'm going to ask if we could stand. I know we've been sitting down for a while.
And we didn't pray before we got
We look
started,
to the
I'm so
Lord
sorry.
and we close out with prayer. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for blessing us here. Lord, continue, we ask, be with us, Lord, tabernacle with us. We pray, Lord, as we have entered through these doors, Lord, and as we sit in your presence, that we will not leave, Father, here the same people. But we ask, Lord, you would fill us with your Holy Spirit. Bless us to be a blessing to those you bring in our path. Lord, we ask you to prepare us, be with our family and friends, especially those traveling. And Lord, we thank you for the Sabbath. Thank you for the blessings, Lord, that attend this day, seen and unseen. In Jesus' name.
Amen.